Well, after the quite unbelievable Stage 5 of this year's Giro d'Italia, Stage 6 would have to go some to top that one. A coastal ride northward and the flattest road stage other than the time trial. Everything about this shouted sprint finish. Just the one categorised climb early on, the fourth category climb, which came after 40 kilometres. And a wonderful moment for Afonso Iolelio, despite the fact that he was bandaged up after his crashes from the day before. In the Maglia Rosa, the Portuguese rider enjoying his moment in the leader's jersey. Paul Magnier wearing the Maglia Ciclamino and the Maglia Azzurra on the shoulders of Diego Sevilla as well. Will he hang on to that lead as we get into the big mountains tomorrow? Don't forget the Friday stage to Blockhaus. But the attacking was pretty fierce from the off ahead of tomorrow's big mountain stage. Lots of riders wanting to get in there. Lennart van Eetvelt was one of the early attackers, by the way. And then we had a crash and bike problems for Lidl-Trek, not just Jonathan Milan. Out front we had Edward Planker and Luca Vergalito, both from Alpecin Premier Tech, of course, and they were being chased by this trio, Mattia Bais, Martin Marcialusi and Manuele Tarossi, the three Italians chasing another Italian and a Belgian out front. You could just see them closing in, and the Alpecin Premier Tech duo were ready to hook up with the other three to make five out front. And at that point, Edward Planker dropped back to the bunch, leaving Vergalito. This was the King of the Mountains point, Mattia Bais of Polti Visit Malta, taking the 3 points there ahead of Manuele Tarossi and Martin Marcialusi. Behind, a much steadier day out, despite some crashes. This one for Nico Denz and Nelson Oliveira, going down hard, but thankfully looking like they were both remounting as well. Well, their lead was never massive, the four who remained, but they kept working, as they always would. Martin Marcialusi being in a breakaway would always indicate that he won't be giving up easily. We've seen it enough times before. And this was the Maglia Ciclamino sprint taken by Manuele Tarossi of Bardiani, ahead of Mattia Bais and Martin Marcialusi. It was Aiko Bastains of Soudal Quick-Step leading across there, of course, already pacing for Paul Magnier, looking for that third stage win should it come down to a sprint finish. Well, this was indicative that it would, because Aiko Bastains there on the front in the colours of Soudal Quick-Step, that white jersey, just closing out the last one. Here came the Red Bull kilometre. This was fascinating, actually. Filippo Magli of Bardiani, CSF7 Sabre, taking the 6 bonus seconds there ahead of Ludovicio Crescioli. And Lennart van Eetvelt, again, up there and active in this race. Not long after that, Alex Segaert attacked. The Bahrain victorious Belgian rider, making the most of his late attacking reputation that he has these days. But it came back together, and it was coming back together for a big sprint finish in Napoli. Don't forget, with the cobbles to come. Thankfully, not too wet, but it had rained earlier in the day. There was still some nervousness about these clinker cobbles that were to come at this twisty, windy finish in Napoli. Dylan Groenewegen's Unibet Rose Rockets team doing everything they could to keep him up and out of any potential trouble. Paul Magnier was right there as well, of course, in the Maglia Ciclamino. Sweeping right-hander onto the clinkers, and you could see the start of the crash happening. Sliding crash as well, leaving two riders clear at the front. Davide Ballerini and Jasper Stuyven, two of the elder statesmen of the peloton, two of the most experienced riders, both great bike handlers too, and they were left sprinting things out on the run into the finish in Napoli. Davide Ballerini, the Italian, leading much to the delight of the fans, and that is the way it stayed. A first Italian stage winner in this year's Giro d'Italia, and such a popular rider, Davide Ballerini, beating Jasper Stuyven, two of the most experienced riders in this peloton. Should have been there in a lead-out formation, of course, but in the end, sprinting for the win. Ballerini gets a Giro stage win to go with his Omloop Het Nieuwsblad win, as it was back then. Afonso Iolelio hangs on to the race lead quite comfortably ahead of tomorrow's Big Mountains test at Blockhaus. Paul Magnier still managed to salvage third despite being held up in that crash. He is wearing the Maglia Ciclamino heading into tomorrow's mountain stage. And Diego Sevilla hangs on to the Maglia Azzurra as well. course, the best young riders jersey, the Maglia Bianca, is held by Afonso Eulelio. Join us for tomorrow's big blockhouse finish. It's going to be a blockbuster.